a lot from voices inside the Beltway about the issues facing this country. Now, rising star on the right, Dr. Ben Carson is making his conservative voice heard loud and clear. And last year at the National Prayer Breakfast, attended by President Obama, he denounced political correctness, said that education in America has been dumbed down, and criticized the tax system. Dr. Carson is the author of One Nation, What We Can All Do to Save America's Future, and he is a professor emeritus of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins University, and he joins me now. Thank you for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Great. Before we get into your book, I want to talk to you about, and before we talk about your political aspirations, I'm curious as to what you make of the president's handling of Bo Bergdahl and the Taliban prisoner swap.
Well, I think there are a number of different levels of problems. First of all, you know, we released these terrorists. I mean, these are not amateurs. These are real dangerous people. And to believe that they're not going to cause more harm is probably a little naive. The other thing is, you know, Bergdahl was not really a POW. He was really a hostage. And I think the analysis that will go on will demonstrate that that is true. If that is the case, it will be the first time that I know of that we as a nation have negotiated with terrorists over a hostage. You know, that sets a pretty dangerous precedent.
Doctor, the administration says that they had to...
And then the third problem...
The administration said that they had to act fast to make the deal because Bergdahl's health was failing. And as a doctor, do you appreciate at least that particular motive of freeing an American soldier who is, as you said, held hostage?
Well, I understand what they said, and that's why I say I think further investigations will reveal what the truth is. And then the third issue is that of an administration that already has been accused of ignoring Congress, taking this step without consultation, probably just exacerbates the situation.
Right, and as for the administration, they said it was going to be the most transparent administration in history. And listen, and you've been very critical of the administration. Since this prayer breakfast speech, you've made some very controversial statements. I want you to listen to what you said about Obamacare in the past.
And I have to tell you, you know, Obamacare is really, I think, the worst thing that has happened in this nation since slavery. And it is, in a way, it is slavery, in a way, because it is making all of us subservient to the government.
Now, I have to tell you that I was watching that and I was really confounded about what you meant. How can you compare a health care program to the brutal oppression and abuse of black people in this country?
Okay, I can tell you very easily. First of all, if you listen carefully to what I said it's the worst thing since slavery. Now, there are those who will say he said it's equivalent to slavery, who probably don't understand how the English language works. And it's sort of like the kid on the playground at school who runs over to one kid and says, he's talking about your mama. And then he goes to the other, he's talking about your mama, so that they can get in a fight, rather than actually concentrating on the issue. The issue here is that we have turned over to the government the most important thing we have, which is our health and our health care. And for those who are well-read, they will know that many people who have not had the interest of the United States at heart have advocated making the population dependent,
okay,
in order to achieve the, quote, utopian society.
All right, let me jump in there, because you said who have not had, you said who have not had,
and the best way to do,
you said, I understand where you're going, you said, and the best way to do that is to control people through health care. But you're saying that these have been influenced by people who didn't have America's best interest at heart. Are you saying the president and this administration don't have Americans' best interest at heart because they're trying to get people health coverage?
No, I'm talking about the Neo-Marxist. This literature is easy to find.
I know, but you're comparing it to the Obama administration, into Obamacare.
What I am saying is factual, historical information. Now, you can make whatever allusions you'd like to make to it in order to try to inflame the situation. But
I'm not trying to inflame the situation. I'm trying to understand it, because you're saying you're not talking about the Obama administration, but you're comparing Obamacare to that, and you're saying the way that people have been controlled is through
I'm
that
comparing
method.
Obamacare to what? What am I comparing Obamacare?
Well, you compared it to slavery. You said in a way it is slavery because you use it to control people.
Did I just tell you that it's not the worst thing, since that it's not comparable to slavery?
But
slavery is a horrible, horrible thing. I can tell you a lot of things about it, but the reason that this is the next worst thing is because it is taking the most important thing that you have and subjecting it to control by the government. That is the first step to government control of everything. And
Okay,
again, this is something that is easily verifiable by those who are historical, who indulge in reading
Here's where
history.
most people would take issue, because they would say that Jim Crow is pretty bad, that World War II is pretty bad, that Vietnam was pretty bad, that D-Day was pretty bad, that Iraq was pretty bad, that Japanese internment camps were pretty bad. All these things were terrible, and they have happened since slavery. And you say Obamacare is worse than all of those things?
I do say that, yes. All of those things are bad, but those do not fundamentally change the United States.
Okay.
This is the beginning of a fundamental change of moving away from a government that is for of and by the people to a government that is for of and by the government. It flies in the face of what America is all about.
Okay, I want to move on now to the VA scandal, and I want to read what you said about the scandal at the VA just last month. And you said, I think that what's happening with the veterans is a gift from God to show us what happens when you take layers and layers of bureaucracy and place them between the patients and the healthcare providers. A gift from God? I mean, granted, no one thinks that the VA functions properly, but veterans who serve this country may have died waiting for care. Do you regret at all saying that?
Well, let me tell you exactly what that means, because most people know exactly what I'm talking about. It demonstrates to us very easily, without a lot of subterfuge, what happens when you place layers and layers of bureaucrats between patients and between the healthcare providers. It makes it crystal clear what's going to happen. That's why it's a gift from God to be able to show that to people. Now, I know that some left-wing people have said, Carson said that God wants veterans to die, but I don't think anybody with any sense actually believes that.
I know, but Doctor, you just said that you think that the rhetoric should be toned down in this country, and you can't go over and say, oh, she said this about you. But when you use comparisons like that and words like that, then then you're ratcheting up the rhetoric. You don't think so?
It only ratchets up the rhetoric when people try to misinterpret it. When people listen to what I'm saying, it doesn't ratchet up the rhetoric at all. Okay. It makes it very clear what's going on.
All right, let's talk about your book now, One Nation, What We Can All Do to Save America's Future. What's wrong with America in your view, and why do you feel compelled to write this book, Doctor?
Well, the reason it's called One Nation is because our unity is where we derive our strength. But there are forces at work trying to drive wedges into any crack they can find. So hence we have all these wars, race wars, income wars, age wars, gender wars. There's a war on virtually everything. And of course that comes right out of the pages of Saul Alinski's book, Rules for Radicals, Divide and Conquer. We should be looking at ways that we can unite people. And I know that there are some on the left who say, but you're saying bad things about other people. What I'm doing is shedding light on what is going on in America.
So you've written a book. Hillary Clinton has a book that's coming out. You did pretty well in the straw poll, and people have been talking about possible presidential aspirations. Would you run for president?
Well, certainly it's not something that I desire to do. I think you have to be a little bit nutty to want to do a position like that. I've noticed everybody who goes in there for 4 or 8 years looks like they've been there for 20. And having had an already very arduous career, I wasn't looking forward to that. But I do recognize that sometimes we're placed in positions that were not of our choosing. So, I'm keeping my eyes and ears open. We'll see what happens. I'll be very interested in what happens in November, because the American people will have an opportunity to state pretty clearly whether they want to continue down this path of increasing government control of our lives, or whether they'd rather move back to a nation that is for of and by the people.
Doctor, I have to run.
And that will inform a lot of decisions by me.
I have to run. I take that as a yes.
All right,
so
thank you very much.
In November. I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate the honest conversation. Coming up, the big night in 8 states with primary results pouring in. We'll have the very latest. That's next. Plus, a man who can make anything sound good, the one and only Morgan Freeman.
Waves don't care what age you are. Take them on the way you always have. Live healthy and take One-A-Day Men's 50 Plus, a complete multivitamin with 7 antioxidants to support cell health. Age, who cares?
This storm was like no storm in 50 years. Joey's Pizza and Pasta was all down the drain. There wasn't a spoon left. Everything was gone. My trusted choice insurance agent called to say, hey Joe, we're gonna get you your money, you're gonna rebuild your restaurants, and everything's gonna be fine. Within 3 weeks, we had some money in our hands to get the ball rolling. Joey's is back, better than ever.
For a Trusted Choice independent insurance agent near you, visit trustedchoice.com.
The Clean Air Act stops polluters from poisoning his air with arsenic, lead, and mercury. Now, the loophole that lets them pump unlimited carbon pollution into his air is closing too, if polluters and their friends in Washington don't interfere. Don't let polluters weaken our clean air protections.
For the dad that would do anything for golf, save on anything for golf at the Golfsmith Father's Day event. The biggest savings, the best deals, to make this the best Father's Day yet. So hurry to Golfsmith. Anything for golf.
We don't sit idle, wondering how we're going to build a better truck.